Good morning, BridgeNation. And folks might be wondering why this voice in the initial. Well, my name is Irwine Clare. I'm sitting in for Reverend Ronnie Thwaites today. Normally, I'll be in New York. Today, I'm privileged to be in Kingston, Jamaica. So, of course, with my co-host Pearnel Charles on the Bridge 99 FM, we thank you for being a part of BridgeNation by tuning into the Bridge 99.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7.9 on the FM dial. We're also connecting with our sister station Irwine Radio in New York for the Global Connection Hour. Remember, you can also watch our live stream at thebridge99fm.com wherever you are in the world. Follow us on Instagram at thebridge99fm and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bridge99FM. You can keep up with all the happenings by downloading the Bridge 99 FM app in the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Today is November 2nd, and if you're in New York in the United States, by now we would have known what has happened as it relates to the elections. Well, here in Jamaica, Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang on Tuesday announced a 14-day gun amnesty as the penalty regime for the new Firearms Prohibition and Restricting Act comes into effect. The amnesty is to begin on November 5th and end on November 19th. Dr. Chang told colleague lawmakers in the House yesterday, noting that breaches of the Act, which was gazetted hours before his announcement, would result in penalties ranging from 15 years to life imprisonment. The minister said the amnesty would allow persons in possession of illegal or unregistered firearms and ammunition to surrender the weapons to the state without the fear of prosecution. We turn to health. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton has indicated that the country is recording an abnormally high number of hospital admissions of children with respiratory illnesses. Dr. Tufton was addressing parliamentary colleagues in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, said there has been more than 400% increase in the number, which has moved from 4 cases per week to 19 in terms of severe acute respiratory infections. This was recorded between September 25th and October 22nd. Dr. Tufton went on to say that this has resulted in overcrowding at the Bustamante Hospital for Children in Kingston and the Spanish Town Hospital in St. Catherine. He noted that infections have passed the seasonal threshold, which is between 19 and 21 admissions occurring each week at the 6 Asari sites across the health regions. On to the United States, President Joe Biden is set to deliver a speech today on protecting democracy, 6 days before the midterm elections, as the nation deals with a tense political climate following the attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. A Democratic official told CNN that on Wednesday, President Biden will deliver remarks on preserving and protecting our democracy as Election Day approaches. The president will address the threat of election deniers and those who seek to undermine faith in voting and democracy and the stakes of our democracy in next week's election. In the meantime, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has reintroduced the Conservatives' moratorium on fracking in England. Downing Street has confirmed it reverses his predecessor's Liz Truss's decision to lift the ban in areas where there was local consent. The controversial technique for recovering gas and oil from shale rock was halted in 2019 after concerns about earth tremors. As usual, on the Public Eye, every Wednesday we bring these and other pertinent issues straight to you. No slander, no gossip, just facts, as we continue to explore social, some societal problems with an open mind and seek to find solutions. And so we now, of course, we welcome our listeners in the New York tri-state area to the Global Connect, as we connect, of course, with the Public Eye, an open-minded talk show here in Jamaica. Sitting in for Ronnie Thwaites, Irwine Clare, and and my esteemed, I cannot add to the whole political, I want to say dirt under the nails of experience. To my right, of course, His Eminence, Mr. Pearnel Charles. Good day, sir.
Let me by honor welcome you back to your home and welcome you to the BridgeNation, one of the finest radio stations in transmitting facts from Jamaica to Jamaicans and other people around the world. We want to, as I say, welcome you, and you got a chance to present your portfolio.
Yes, sir.
And you have done well. I've just given you an A.
All right. That is good, when it comes from.
And we will take some more.
Yes.
Of what's happening around the world.
You realize that next week, this time, and I just started the last story there as it relates to President Biden. By next week, this time, we'd know whether or not the Democrats would have controlled the Senate and the House of Representatives, and just what direction the country, the United States, is heading into, and how it will impact the rest of the world.
Well, let me show you something that is bothering me. We have political confusion, I would say, right around the world. Not only in Moscow, but we have, what's the final in Israel? What's the final in Brazil?
Correct.
And the United States. So we're looking forward to another 2 or 3 weeks of, frightening.
Interesting times.
Well, that's a better word.
Yeah.
Because it may be on the positive side that we all are happy about. So, how are you enjoying Jamaica?
Well, I always enjoy home, You rightfully say home, because I view the United States as going on the plantation, and then I come back here to Jamaica to spend my money. But it is good, because being in Jamaica this time around, it was about family. My grandson was coming to Jamaica for the first time, so we had a welcome to Jam Rock for him over the weekend. So that was great to have family and friends around, and that is what many people in the diaspora actually look forward to in coming back home, or coming home, one would say, and that is to see friends, families, and to reacquaint itself, and it's regardless of the challenges faced here in Jamaica.
There are challenges all around the world, and Jamaica is no less one of the countries that have great challenges, but we are a fighting people. And we look forward to winning. And as I say, welcome, and let's talk to the rest of the world.
Indeed.
And I'm sure you'd like to say hello to all your friends in New York.
Yeah,
and I said hello to all my friends in New York, Canada, and the United Kingdom.
Yes, indeed.
And in Jamaica.
Indeed, and wherever Jamaicans are, because wherever we are, we make it Jamaica. And that is of utmost importance. I run into some folks who are also down here on vacation and having a good time, cognizant of the challenges, but also availing themselves, Mr. Charles, to help, whether it be seeking, whether it be procuring economic opportunities, setting up businesses, or at the same time from a philanthropic perspective, which is something I have to say that Jamaica has cultivated significant asset base in its nationals. When we talk about persons overseas and looking back at home nation, they're always 99.9% positioning themselves either from an economic standpoint for themselves or how to help Jamaicans at home.
And you have done a big job with your radio and your connection, and those that you're allowed to connect with us in Jamaica. I'm sure wherever Ronnie is in listening. So I say, Ronnie, I'm sorry to tell you I don't miss you yet. Irwine is here. He believes you're going to go to New York, so we'll probably hear you from New York one of these days.
All right, that sounds like a plan. You guys need to be on the other side as well. I want to quickly, before we go to the break and introduce our upcoming persons, some topical issues been hitting here in Jamaica, Sir Charles, and I think pertinent of interest to Jamaicans all over, not just here in Jamaica. And that, we recognize the challenges in the healthcare system and the whole situation of what's taking place. I know Minister Tufton has been under some fire for the situation of babies who have died, and you have made a statement which has itself garnered some criticisms.
Oh yes, and that's what make me,
Yeah, without a doubt, and even criticism from where I sit here too, because I just wanted to just correct or state the facts here. You mentioned about the track record of Dr. Tufton, which is undeniably, he has done a good job in his health portfolio, but there are situations now that are facing the nation. Talk to us about what you meant by, based on what he has done.
Let me make a correction first for people who understand.
Sure.
Everybody in the politics representing people is subject to being analyzed and criticized, either negative or positive. Follow me? I believe when Dr. Ferguson was Minister of Health and the JLP called for his resignation, I did not support it. I did not vote for it in Parliament. The reason I did not vote for it in Parliament was because I was medically influenced at home. I have 4 daughters, 3 of them are doctors. I have 3 sons, 1 is a doctor, and all spoke to me about the JLP approach that Dr. Ferguson probably was responsible, couldn't be responsible for that. And then the big thing was that he was not being criticized for the dying babies. He was criticized because he said they weren't people. Right? Mm-hmm. That was the politics of it. On this side, I think that Dr. Tufton, swinging the #1 minister in Jamaica, according to the public polls, when this happened in his ministry, he didn't even advise the Prime Minister. And he said he was waiting on certain analysis of overseas and internal. Now, certainly, when you're in charge, you're subject to criticism. But definitely, it's a medical situation. He's not a doctor. Doctors are in charge. Nurses are in charge. Other hospital authorities are in charge. And calling for his resignation, I think, was out of order. That does not mean that he cannot be criticized, right? And he criticizes himself by not sending a document to the Prime Minister.
Okay, notifying the Prime Minister. Okay.
Notifying the Prime Minister. And that was about all. I mean, it was the politics of it, but it does not remove from the fact that Tufton, if you're in charge of a ministry and the public is dissatisfied with certain things, they have a right to criticize you, they have a right to examine it, they have a right to call you to board, they have a right to support you, like I have a right to support him because of his, his public support that he gets from the public.
Okay. But and again, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we're in the Global Connect. It's the public eye. My name is Irwine, Clare, sitting in for Reverend Ronnie Thwaites here in Jamaica. Normally, I'd be in New York, and with me, of course, is the Honorable Pearnel Charles. Just to let you know that when we come out of the break coming up, we'll have guests on the whole Union of Jamaican Alumni Association speaking to us on efforts that their association is now going through. Of course, they're going through new leadership as well. But again, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll continue the programming right here on the Bridge 99 FM. Of course, with our sister station in New York, 93.5 Irie Jam. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Public Eye. It's an open mind. It's a talk show here on 99 the Bridge 99 FM. I almost said 93.5 as well because we're connecting with Arijam in New York. My name is Irwine Clare, sitting in for Reverend Ronnie Thwaites, along with me, Mr. Pearnel Charles. Just want to welcome back our listeners and remind them too, of course, this is the Bridge 99 FM, 99.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7.9. You can hear us wherever you are in Jamaica and all over the world. It's the Bridge 99fm.com and of course on Irijam 360 93.5 there in New York, as we are part of the Global Connect every Wednesday here at this time in these moments. And just before we get to our guests, I wanted to touch base with Mr. Charles on the whole subject. You know, there's a 14-day moratorium on returning unregistered firearms, on illegal firearms, which will commence on November 5th, as announced by the Minister of National Security. I just asked Mr. Charles in the break whether or not this whole 14 days that has been established is sufficient, and whether or not enough information will be circulated so the population can be aware of this.
Well, let me say this. This piece of legislation, which was produced by both political parties, because it was sent to the committee where it was discussed, where everybody made an input. It's one of the strongest piece of legislation put forward for quite some time. However, crime in Jamaica, particularly with the gun, requires strong measures to bring it under control. Now, one important thing in this piece of legislation is that they recognize that there are Jamaicans who have a gun, not to go and hold up somebody, but to go and be holding a gun because if a man coming through my house, I need some protection.
Yeah.
And that person is now subject to 15 years or life.
Yes.
And therefore, they are being called to bring in the gun, come in and make a statement. In other words, you can even bring in the gun and make an application for it if you think.
Okay.
And if you can convince the authorities that you need to have it. But you cannot have it at your home
without it being registered.
Because, as I say, you are subject to life imprisonment or a minimum of 15 years. On the other side, the persons who have the gun out there for illegal reasons and for gang confrontations, I want to say to them, look here, it doesn't matter how much money you have, or how many lawyers you can produce in the court. You're starting at 15 years to life imprisonment. And I would strongly suggest that you give it to some attorneys or some pastors, you know, that can save you from this sort of penalty.
One of the things that we will hope, though, is that as we go through this 14-day period, is that enough public pronouncements and announcements are made so that the very persons you're talking about will get the message. Because, after that 14 days, you could have persons who still have those situations will now be in a quandary and face the penalty. So the hope is that the system will provide enough information. Such
well, if you ask me to make a guess, I'll tell you, inside of my head, I don't believe that many people are going to come forward.
Oh, Lord. Well, then they'll stand the test of time and see what happens when a situation presents itself. We can have some challenges there. Anyway, we were bantering just now, but I understand that our guests are on. And in the Global Connection Hour today, we'll be joined by Mr. Donovan Wilson, who is the president of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations, recently elected. We also have the immediate past president, Miss Lesleyann Samuel. And also with us too, I understand, Mr. Michael Salmon, who is the vice president of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Association, who will be talking to us about some new developments of UJAA and how persons can get involved. One of the more prolific organizations in the diaspora, the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations. Are we ready for them yet? Mr. Wilson?
Hello there, Irwine. I'm on.
Good day, Mr. Wilson. Welcome, president of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Association. Do we have Miss Lesleyann Samuel on? Not yet. Do we have Mr. Michael Salmon on?
I am here.
Mr.
Here,
Michael, all the way from Knox.
Yes, sir, from the hill.
Okay. And of course, Mr. Donovan Wilson. I say, Mr. Charles, he comes from the school on his little hill there in Santa Cruz, Stets. But he will dispute that. Do we have Miss Lesleyann Samuel?
I won't dispute it.
You won't dispute it, right? No. There you go.
I am from up the hills too.
do we have Miss Lesleyann Samuel on?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome. And she comes from that immaculate school there up the road there.
That you all want to go to. I know.
What she said.
That we all want to go to.
That's where we all want to.
Yeah, man. Of course. Why not? Why not?
One of my daughters, Pamela Charles, went there.
Okay, there you go.
Pamela Price.
There you go. There. Welcome, Team UJAA. And first, I must start off by saying congratulations to the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations for providing the platform and the opportunities for Team Jamaica to be at the World Robotics Competition recently held in Switzerland. Let me start with you, immediate past President Lesleyann Samuel. Share with us quickly that experience there in Switzerland.
It was absolutely wonderful, Irwin. Thank you, first of all, so much for having us. When you are around that many young people who are so engaged, so enthusiastic, so energized, it's infectious. And the fact is that they are not only learning something and doing something productive, but they are modeling behavior that we want from our young people. First is all about helping our young people understand the challenges of our environment. And so by connecting the creation of robots to an environmental problem, gets them in the mode of thinking about not only what they can do for their careers, but also how they can contribute to our world. And so that's really the exciting part of being in a place like Geneva with those young people. It could be anywhere, but it was nice being in Geneva, I have to tell you.
I can imagine, and I understand too that you're running to Jamaicans there who provided the team with Jamaican style food.
Absolutely. I have to tell you, we Jamaicans, we really like certain types of food, okay? And that has been the one area of challenge every time we have traveled overseas. But yes, we found a fabulous Jamaican caterer who made breakfast for us, ackee and saltfish and mackerel.
You hear that?
No,
hold on. You hear that, Mr. Charles? Ackee and saltfish in Switzerland.
Yes,
absolutely.
It's not the ackee and saltfish alone, It's the Jamaican.
All right, the Jamaican.
Jamaican that carries it as a symbol on their shirt.
There you go.
And eat
Absolutely.
it. Whether it's New York, Canada, United Kingdom. And that's a good thing about Jamaica.
Indeed. You're saying no. We're quickly moving in on the subject here, but there was some, apart from the team did well. They came second, and they did well out of several countries. But there was also something else here. The organization was recognized for its philanthropy. Speak to us about that, and what is the story taken away from that?
So the story for that is that first recognizes that it takes money for these students to come to travel overseas to be a part of this global competition. And the Team Jamaica chose to submit. First of all, that's the first part. We had to be submitted. So the students put a story together about how we have been working since in the program's inception in 2017 to ensure that Jamaica was always represented at this competition. And so they wrote it up, submitted it, and we won the bronze medal for our work in supporting the team. I have to tell you, we were probably one of the few countries that had the UJAA, we had the UJAA banner right next to our little logo there for Team Jamaica. So every Jamaican that came, they always come and they look and say, okay, where's my school? So our support was really quite evident. And so it was really great to be recognized by FIRST for the work that we have done to ensure that Team Jamaica is present.
Okay, great. And Pearnel, just before we switch to the president now, Lesleyann Samuel served in the capacity of president for near 8 years, illustrious service to the Union of Jamaica Alumni Association, and we now have a new president. We welcome Mr. Donovan Wilson, and that's from the school on Little Hill we're talking about there from State. It's an inside joke. Donovan Wilson, congratulations on your ascendancy to the office of presidency. And when we speak in continuation of what Lesleyann just said, coming in on this high, talk to us about the continuation in support of UJAA in the whole robotics competition, because UJAA seem to be the driving force here, stepping up and making sure that Jamaica is at the table. Talk to us about that, sir.
Well, Irwin, first of all, thank you for having us on. And before I respond to your question, I have to tell you, I must take Mr. Charles to task for co-signing the whole business about the little piece on the hill, because I know he knows better, but I'm going to leave that one right there,
All right,
right?
all right, sir. Take him
However,
take him to task another time.
Yeah, man, that's what make me, you know. I am always ready.
All right. Yes, Donovan.
but there are two things that Lesleyann mentioned that I wanted to pick up on, right? The first one surrounds UJAA's participation in this competition. And I just want to say here that I am extremely grateful to UJAA as an organization. I am extremely grateful to the alumni associations, because this was one of those years when we basically had to go it alone in terms of making sure that this team got to Switzerland and making sure that they received the support that they needed in order to do well. I remember during one of our meetings, Lesleyann saying to me, are you going to go this year? And I said, absolutely not. This started on your watch, and I want to make sure that you are there to see this through to the end. Because make no mistake about this, guys. I came into UJAA in 2015 when I got one of those late night calls from Lesleyann asking me to join an organization which I was not really a fan of at the time. And since then, I have been a director. I have been her vice president, and Irwine, just so you know, it's not nearly 8 years, it's 8 full years that she's given to this organization. And I have been her vice president for about 4 out of those 8 years. And I must tell you that I have learned a lot from her during that time. And I will be eternally grateful to her for the way in which she's guided UJAA to the point where today we have 61 alumni associations under the union. So that is something that I'm really proud of. But most importantly, on the robotics piece, I am told that the Jamaican team is perhaps the most popular team at these events. And Jamaican souvenirs are in high demand by everybody. So don't be surprised if I come knocking at you and Mr. Charles' door to say, look, for next year, we need more souvenirs.
I want you to do something for me, though. Somebody has just called to tell me they don't really understand what is this. Give us a down-to-earth Jamaican explanation. What is this UJAA? What is it?
All right, good. So, let's go back to the year 1990. And I believe the Consul General in New York then was a Mr. Derek Heavens. And most of our alumni members, or most of our past students from schools in Jamaica, when they move to the US, one of the first things that come to mind is, how can I help my school back in Jamaica? And so they form an alumni association. And we had lots of these alumni associations proliferating all over the place. Mr. Heavens then had the great idea that it would make sense if the alumni association tried to work collectively to achieve the aims that they had in mind. And so the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations was born. So effectively, it's an organization that gives all the alumni associations that want to work together the opportunity to come together under one umbrella, because I think you'll all agree that together we can do more.
Indeed.
So that really is what UJAA is about.
What are some of the things?
All right, I want you to hold that point when we come back, because this is a public eye on the Bridge 99 FM. It's in global connection with Jam in New York. My name is Clare, sitting in for Reverend Thwaites, along with sitting with me here, of course, is the chief himself, Pearnel Charles. We're talking to representative of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Association, the umbrella group for alumni associations in the New York tri-state area. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the dialogue. Welcome back to the Public Eye here on the Bridge 99 FM. My name is Clare, sitting in for Reverend Thwaites, who's off today. But with me, of course, is Chief Pearnel Charles. And as we connect with the Jam in New York, 93.5. Normally, I'm on the other side. Today, I'm here in studios in Kingston. Great to be amongst our brothers and sisters here in Jamaica. And as we continue the dialogue, providing you information of purpose. That's what we do here on these platforms, where we connect with each other, provide an opportunity for you across diasporas to communicate. And so we urge persons to continue to follow us on Instagram at the Bridge 99 FM, our YouTube channel, the Bridge 99 FM, and of course, download the Bridge FM 99 FM app from Google Play Store or Apple Store. And those tuning on IRIJAM 360, we welcome you as well. Just before we break, we were speaking to representatives from the Jamaican Alumni Association, the president, Mr. Donovan Wilson, past president Lesleyann Samuel, and we have the vice president recently elected, Mr. Mike Salmon, which we'll be coming to shortly. But before we broke, Pearnel had asked a question about some of the highlights of the Union of Jamaica Alumni Association, which I want to just alert our listeners. It's a collaboration of alumni associations working together for the benefit of education. And I'll say this, and I've said this many times, when we look at diaspora organizations, Jamaican diaspora organizations, I think the Union of Jamaica Alumni Association stands head and shoulders as it relates to their financial, their contributions, not only to their respective alumni associations, but in this case, UJAA, to primary education and basic school education and all the projects they do here. So they have made some significant contributions over the years in their existence. So I don't know if Donovan want to pick up from where he left off in highlighting some of the top points that Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations that has impacted Jamaica over the years.
And Donovan, before you go, you have to take me on board that I can help, because I don't think that the connection at a certain level in Jamaica is strong enough.
All right. Sounds good.
And you know, because if you had asked me before, I would not be able to make the presentation that the lady before and Mr. Wilson are doing.
There you go. Donovan?
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because believe me, we don't forget these things when people say that we should take them on board. So you will be hearing from us. But, you know, Irwine made the point about our contribution. And I want us to just back up a little bit to the start of the pandemic. When this pandemic started, one of the big areas of need in Jamaica was the need for devices, laptops and tablets. And I think very early on, many of our partners jumped on board to try to provide devices to our students in Jamaica. And immediately, our alumni association saw the need where we can jump in. And Michael and Lesleyann, you can correct me on this one, but I think as of this point, we're probably up around $15 million in terms of the amount of devices that we have sent out to Jamaica to our various schools. The last official number I saw, Irwine, we were about 12 to 14 million in that ballpark, but I know there has been some other shipments since then. So we're probably over the 15 million mark right now. Mm-hmm. I also want to point out that UJAA is an organization that encompasses primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions. So you name an association or a school, and they probably have an alumni association with us. And one of the big projects that is ongoing for us is getting devices into our primary schools. And I'm going to defer to Lesleyann to speak about that, but I want to tell you that we understand that internet in Jamaica has been a challenge for many schools. And so through one of our partners, which you'll speak to, we were able to come up with a device which actually has the programs built in, and therefore you don't need internet in order to get students to get on to the platform in order to use those devices. And so, Irwine, I'm going to ask Lesleyann, because she's continuing to spearhead this for us. And this is something that's ongoing. It's coming. One of our goals is to get devices into every parishes. Our mantra was 60 years of independence. We want to make sure that we get devices into every parish in this, the 60th year of independence. So, Lesleyann, why don't you take that away?
Sure. Thanks, Donovan. So, the device that Donovan referred to is called a LearnIt tablet. And so it is produced by an organization that actually started in Montserrat, but is now based out of Boston. We forged this relationship with a company called Caribbean eBook. Turns out that they produce a tablet that costs about $130 or so, but it has 180 applications on it. Perfect for grades 1 through 6, and provides applications that helps them with not only reading but also numeracy. So it's literacy and numeracy, as well as a little bit of fun. What we found was that the tablet, interestingly enough, was introduced to Jamaica in 2011. The then Permanent Secretary, Dr. Grace McLean, saw the tablet and endorsed it. She thought it was a good device, although the ministry was not able to step up to saying, okay, we will buy them. So, okay, one particular school was donated 60, and they were able to demonstrate significant increases in results in their students' literacy and numeracy grades. And so, the approach that UJAA has taken is that, if we are going to truly improve education in Jamaica, although it is desirable that we start with the basic schools, we really need to get to the primary schools. Indeed. There are fewer of them. There's over 2,000 basic schools, a bit more than perhaps we can handle. But let's do something about improving education at the primary school level, because then everybody benefits along the way after that.
Indeed.
So the program that Donovan refers to, what we are trying to do is to put 10 tablets in 28 primary schools across the island. We'll actually end up with more schools than that. But this is the beginning of what we believe needs to be our mission, to really grow that number across the island, so that at the ground level, if you will, we can start to see a difference.
Indeed. And Mike, we when we speak of this, one can also hope to that persons listening will realize that there are opportunities for partnership. And I go to Mike Salmon now, vice president, and I know his keen interest is on the education, especially the whole Education Connect side. How do you see UJAA now moving into the whole transformation section as it widens its impact on the educational landscape here in Jamaica, Mike Salmon?
Well, firstly, thank you so much, Irwine, for having me, and certainly, Mr. Charles, thank you so much. I've been an educator all my life, Irwine. I mean, I've taught here in the U.S. for over 35 years in some of the best universities here, and I'm always committed to giving back. I believe strongly that transforming education in Jamaica is the key to transforming the country. And I think that UJAA is absolutely well positioned to support and to help in that drive as we try to change things in Jamaica. I mean, I must just let you know that you all probably have read the Patterson report, and I read it thoroughly, 300 and something pages. And while in fact some of our schools have done very well, while some of our students have been superstars, a couple of things struck me. One is that we still are graduating students who are moving into high schools who are really semi-literate, if you want to put it that way. It struck me that, for example, there's something we can do at the very start to help to change that dynamic. I should also say that although Jamaica has done so well, I recently saw that in the Caribbean, we were only about number 9, and many countries like Barbados were ahead of us. And I think that part of the job of UJAA is not only to provide all the things that we do, the devices, but also to change the narrative, to let people begin to understand that in fact we here in the diaspora are willing and able and capable of making a contribution in many ways. I think that, ideally that's part of the job, and I want to help the president and help UJAA to really, really make an impact in that regard.
Are you in contact with the Ministry of Education?
All right. And before you answer that question now, this is what I wanted to throw out there, because where we want to go with this now, Pearnel, is that when you hear of all those situations, right?
Exactly.
The question comes up now. we find organizations like these have always been on the side that says these are the things we want. We don't usually find them at the tail where policies are being made or decisions are being made. So to come back to your question, it's not just about the minister being aware. It's how our organization, in this case UJAA, being a part of the policy side as it relates to the impact, as you heard Mike just said, as to what we could provide to the table.
Let me say this to you. You have sat at your desk. I have sat here and listened to a number of people making presentation how important it is for education in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
They have been contributing millions of dollars, and what I am not sure of is whether it is going into, like my teacher told me, if him have to cut my head and put education in, I'm going to do it. I'm not sure whether the children, I'm not criticizing it because I don't know. I didn't feel what the energy that I'm getting from these executives. I didn't feel it before I'm hearing it. And therefore, there must be something to bridge them and those who they want to educate. It either through the government or through certain association. Right? I hear her talk about tablets. Every time I hear people talking about sending hundreds of tablets here, and I still hear that schools don't have tablets.
Indeed, because there's a lot required. But you see, no, they have even taken it to another level to make sure it's not just a tablet as a commercial tablet, but a tablet designed for the particular. But let me go back to
this is 1 minute.
Yeah.
This is very interesting because it guarantees a certain type of education because the tablet is made towards that end. It's not something that you can turn into any sort of jump thing you want. You have to push in this line, and I want to congratulate them on this one.
Donovan, as you, with a few moments we have left, as you now embark under your leadership going forth, the new dynamism, building on what has been put there by the past presidents. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, these folks are all working volunteer. They have them own 9-to-5 job, right? So let's not think that somehow they're getting paid for what they're doing. They choose to do what they do. Share with us now the vision going forth.
And I share that as I attempt to share that, Irwine. Lesleyann and Michael are both educators. I'm not, right? But I am going to put on my diplomat hat for 2 minutes, right? First of all, to Lesleyann's point about learning tablets, I want to tell you we just shipped out another 186 devices, which I was advised arrived in Jamaica today. So we're going to go through the clearing process. So that's one. To your question regarding the ministry, UJAA has worked with the Early Childhood Commission towards assisting with getting some of these basic schools certified. In fact, there's a school in Hanover called Industry Cove Basic School, which was literally built by UJAA and is a certified school. So we certainly have worked in that space, and even recently we made an additional, or we committed to an additional contribution in that space. We have been fortunate enough to work with some folks within the ministry towards fostering a closer relationship with the ministry, if you will. I will say that since taking up office on the 15th of September, one of the first things I did was to reach out to the ministry and to the minister with a view to having a sit down, if you will, to see how UJAA can play a more participatory role, if you will, with the ministry. Because certainly over the next year, what this board would like to do is not only to retain and grow the membership that we have, but to increase our visibility in the diaspora and in Jamaica. Because one of the things I've always said, and Lesleyann can hear me out with this, UJAA does great work, but we need more people to know about that great work that we're doing. Because my belief is the more people that know about the work we're doing, the more funds that we will be able to get in order to continue to do even greater work. And so we are going to continue to work to increase our visibility, to get more membership. And you talk about sponsors, and I hope Mr. Charles is planning to come on board as a sponsor in some way, right? We
Well,
believe that
I have the
we
time.
want to,
I
we
have
want
the
to
time.
enhance our relationship with the
He
sponsors.
says his sponsorship will be through
It's
advice.
the most expensive thing you can get.
That's right. Your advice.
Yes.
I've been here for a long time. I have the time. I'm interested in education.
Great.
I know that the only hope for this country
It's through education.
is to educate the children.
Yes, indeed.
And
Absolutely.
through you, Irwine, a lot of people have come on here and talk about their contribution. I don't know whether they are in this union. If they are not, then you need to get us together. Because with this sort of energy and this sort of contribution, then Jamaica needs to know that there are Jamaicans who are doing this and exciting to children and the future of this country.
But listen, folks, we could go on and on. Radio is a limited space. Before you go, all right, I'd like those who are listening right now, just so share with them how they can find out more about UJAA, where you can be found in the social media space, etc., etc.
Perhaps the easiest way to find out about us is to go to www.ujaausa.org. UJAAUSA.org. I must note that it is .org, not .com, because people are so used to doing .com, Irwine, that sometimes they get it wrong. So it's UJAausa.org.
Okay.
We have a very robust website. We make sure that we keep it as updated as possible. And so that is always the easiest way to get there. But I can also tell you that if they just want the shortcut, they can simply send a note to UJAA News Editor at gmail.com or to UJAA Press with a Z at gmail.com.
All right.
And we will get back to you. We make every effort to be as responsive as possible when people reach out to us.
Indeed.
But please know that over the next year or two, we will continue the process of engaging the diaspora and of making sure that we give back as much as we can to education in Jamaica, whether it's basic schools, primary schools, secondary schools, or the colleges.
All right.
It's what we do. As you said, we have day jobs, but guess what? We are never going to be weary in well-doing when it comes to education in Jamaica.
All right, well said. And I just want to let folks know who are listening, especially here in Jamaica, to find out from your school if there are members of UJAA, because that's also very important. Make sure that your school alumni associations are members of UJAA. I want to thank Vice President Michael Salmon, immediate past President Lesleyann Samuel. I haven't gotten used to that yet, Lesleyann. Immediate past President Lesleyann Samuels, and of course current President Mr. Donovan Wilson for joining us here today in this discourse as we speak education, groups in the diaspora who are making a difference here in Jamaica. Thank you very much, and we'll continue the conversation and keep us apprised as to all your plans going forth. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Sure. We were just about the top of the hour. I have to break off to send the folks back in. But go
10
ahead.
seconds
Go ahead.
for you. You have made a lot of connection in the education field of various organizations and people in the United States and around the world. Now you have a big job. If UJAA put all of these people together, their contribution must shake the Ministry of Education.
without a doubt.
I don't know that schools have unions and organizations to join at that level, right? But too many people are coming and say they're contributing to education.
We need to get it together in a collective way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one shake
Yeah, man.
is better than a little shake.
I hear. Well, listen, we have got to shake out of this one here now because New York will be cutting us off soon. I also want to say thanks to the folks in New York for chiming in with us today in the global connection, which we do every Wednesday from 1 to 2 in New York, 12 to 1 here in Jamaica. Sitting for Ronnie Thwaites, I'm here with Pearnel Charles. My name is Irwine Clare. And stay tuned now in New York. Coming up next is the Corporate Hour with the Mr. Corporate himself. I'll be hanging out here with Mr. Charles for another hour or so here in Jamaica. I know my friends in New York may not like me much for being here and they're there, but anyway, you'll catch me again later on moving forward at 8 p.m. We're going to take a break now. We'll come back for the second hour. Welcome back to the Public Eye. It's an open mind, and this, of course, is a talk show here. My name is Irwine Clare, sitting in for Reverend Ronnie Thwaite, who's off today. In studio with me, of course, is his partner, Pearnel Charles, and normally I'd be in New York doing the Global Connect. I'm here in Jamaica, so it's indeed a privilege and a pleasure to be here. Just to remind the BridgeNation of the interview we have coming up with Mr. Evan Hacker. He's a chartered accountant in the United States who is among alumni classes of the 80s at Manning School that has partnered with Errol McKellar Foundation in hosting a forum on prostate cancer, a Zoom meeting featuring Errol McKellar, who is a prostate cancer survivor, and he's also a urologist. And this is an interview we're going to be doing with him for him to bring us up to date as to what's taking place there. You're also welcome to join the conversation and give us a call at 876-676-4996. That's 876-676-4996. We'd love to hear from you from our BridgeNation here. Send us your WhatsApp messages to the number 876-551-5782. That's 876-551-5782. And those, of course, we welcome your contributions to our dialogue here. Until we prepare for our next guest, I just wanted to throw the conversation back to the esteemed Pearnel Charles here, because normally himself and Ronnie Thwaite, who would share some 200 years of political experiences amongst themselves. When you take out Ronnie Thwaite from this, when you take away Ronnie and insert me with 0, I don't know what that means, but anyway.
No. I'm sure Ronnie is smiling when hear you saying good things about him.
But
there's that thing.
Yes.
And let us criticize him since he's not here. when Ronnie is coming with something excited, I can know.
Because you see,
no,
the eyes,
his cheeks, man.
Yeah.
Get red.
Okay.
And so it's not something that is vex, It's something that is nice and so.
you won't be getting it from this side here, but listen now, it's conceivable to say, Pearnel Charles, that we're in the silly season here in Jamaica as well as the United States, and I say silly season meaning the political season.
I think Ronnie Thwaite, and I say it when he's not here. I know, and I didn't know him as well as I do now. And I want to thank the Bridge for giving me an opportunity to deal with, Ronnie. And Ronnie happens to be a member of the People's National Party. I happen to be a member of the Jamaica Labour Party. But it does not prevent us from showing you or seeing what is wrong in both parties and make a conclusion that, in our opinion, the present direction that both political parties taking will not put them together. And since it will not put them together, it's not going to solve the problems as we see it ahead. And Ronnie has a solution, a political solution, which I prefer him to say it. I have not yet concluded that the Jamaican man, the private sector, the public sector, and the third government, which is Gleaner, radio, television,
the media.
I don't name them, and that social one,
which is the most powerful these days.
Exactly. I saw 150 messages from them yesterday without a name. Now, I think that if you really want to make a country, you put your name. Put your name. So we know who we're talking to.
But that's what the virtual space provides, It provides the freedom of persons to express themselves sometimes we'll say without accountability. And they can build up and tear down without accountability. Because all it takes, let's say, for example, what happened there with Nancy Pelosi's husband, right? One tweet from an influencer, and we won't mention name here, sent off a whole hailstorm of conspiracy theories. Before you know it, and if it's not curtailed, it becomes gospel, because it's now embedded in that area of our society that deals in conspiracy theories. That becomes real. You know, and so we find ourselves today now where normally in the past you'd say that you get the gospel of the news from, we can call out names, JBC and RGR or the Gleaner.
Yeah.
That is not, or the Observer. Well, that is not so anymore. You know, you're getting your directives from persons. Everybody with a phone in their hands today is a media mogul.
Yeah, but there's a difference. If you go to the Observer, you know who the editor is. You go to the Gleaner, and all these stations. Now, this great media that you're talking about can say anything. Nobody.
Yeah.
And some of the things they're saying, they must know is not so.
Well.
But I mean, they must know that is not true.
And that's where I don't know.
But because they don't have to put their names or address, they can say anything.
Anything they want.
So I don't believe that's good for development.
That's true. So I come back now. We're in the silly season where one would have thought, and this is an observation from where I sit in the United States, and it happens there too. We came out of a pandemic we experienced. And whilst the pandemic was taking place, there's a semblance that we're all working together. Yeah, there are some fringe elements that we're all working together. And the hope was that we'd come out of this with probably a more unified approach to how we do things. But it seems that the pandemic has really pushed us even further apart.
You're talking worldwide?
Yeah, worldwide. Here in Jamaica, and I look at the United States, because I see the toxicity in the United States.
Well, look what is happening in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, if Israel go the way they're going, and that man gets back there, Putin stay the way he's going, and Trump stay the way he's going, and China stay the way they're going, you know what Mama would say? God soon come for the world.
So we have not learned anything from all of this. It has just solidified exactly how we felt about each other from day one.
Well, Irwine, let me say this to you. We are in trouble. In my opinion, we are in trouble if we don't get our nations to have some togetherness. For example, people are still suffering. You look on the coast of Africa, people are suffering. In the Far East, in Jamaica, people are suffering. In South America, people are suffering. Look what happened at Brazil. The gentleman make a presentation and they don't even say that him lose, which gives an indication he didn't even say to those who are blocking the streets and raising hell, fire. He hasn't said a thing about it. I don't know where it's going to end, but it certainly don't look good.
Indeed. And
he say he won't stand by the Constitution.
well,
but then tell me something about what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband.
Well, it's in a whole situation where he was attacked by someone who obviously is of unsound mind, but would have been.
Is he of unsound mind?
That's what they say, but that's what they usually say.
Yes.
But he would have been influenced by the toxicity, influenced by just the way things are in the United States today.
Yeah.
Because, Nancy Pelosi is one of the most vilified politicians in the United States.
Yes.
I mean, she's a powerful person, a woman who is second in line to the presidency and has garnered power over the years. So she's easily attacked. But here's a part now that frightens me, and I go back to the statements here. We're concerned because the president is saying he's speaking today about the protection of democracy of the United States. The way it is set up now in the United States is that if the pundits are right, the United States could elect individuals who believe, a lot of individuals who believe that the elections were stolen in 2020 and are now hell-bent and in their minds correcting that. And by correcting that in their minds from what we're reading is that they're basically saying that even if their candidates lose, them still win because they'll be in a position to make a correction in their minds.
Let me say something to you. We, and I say we, a lot of people who are listening, look at the United States as a sort of leader in the democratic world. Yes.
Yes, true.
And they have criticized Cuba.
Yes.
They criticize Venezuela.
Everybody.
They criticize Jamaica.
Yes.
And all of this. And what is happening? When a man can break down a man's house and go in there with a hammer asking where is his wife. No. Nancy Pelosi was not asked where is she because of her husband, It's because of the position
yes.
that she holds. Who sent her? Somebody's going to find a name of who sent her, which party he's offering. And so the democracy that we're talking about seems to be struggling.
He's under threat. Serious threat. Well, we see what happened January 6th. I mean, I don't think it has resonated in people's mind, the importance and the impact of what that meant. I mean, I have access to one of the politicians who represents our area in the States there, Gregory Meeks. And when you hear him speak about what was happening that day, it is so surreal. These guys were in a room trapped.
Yes, but hear what I say. As a political science student, democracy was going to the edge. Had they broke in and damaged some of those congressmen, and the army has to come
or the noose that was out there waiting for Pence.
But here is the problem. Somebody's behind that.
Yeah.
And is that one side of where the democracy is? How are we going to straighten it that all of us can have a stake in usual?
Yeah. But it goes back to you mentioned now, because if the United States has looked up to as the leader in the democratic world, you already start to see some fallout, and it may not mean a lot, but it's just something I observed. When the new Prime Minister of England, Mr. Sunak, his first call was not to the United States president. What is that saying? Because normally, is that a signal there? Is that a subliminal message he sent?
Where was his first call to?
I think his first call was probably to France or someplace like that.
Yes, but you see, the United States is losing her leadership in the world because of fear of China, fear of Russia, and fear of losing the leadership that we expect of her. And they continue to say we are not doing anything. They continue to say we are this and we are that. But some of us think we are better off than they are in certain of the philosophical or the political, maybe not in the financial, but we need to, you're in New York.
Yeah. Well, and home to where and why Jamaicans and Jamaica have to be concerned. The United States is home to the largest population of Jamaicans outside of Jamaica.
Right.
And that is because as we speak, I don't see a whole lot of people lining up at the Russian embassy or the Chinese embassy to migrate. So, we have that kind of linkage that will call for us to be concerned as to what could happen come next week.
And let us be fair to the United States and the United States people, not that's what Jamaicans want to become citizens. They have helped Jamaica.
Oh, without a doubt.
When I send 500 farm workers to work in the United States, in the early days, 10 years ago, they come back with a suitcase for the community. Everybody, you bring back a dungaree for you, you bring back something for you. So even the help at that level, the domestic level.
Yes.
And many of us got an education in the United States. I will tell you, I am one who have received an education in the United States who could not get it anywhere else. Why?
That's right.
I wasn't qualified.
That's right.
To go to one of the big schools. There's a little barefoot boy I come from Macedonia.
So big shout out to City College.
Oh, no, let me tell you, man. I'm going there. I have promised the president, I have 4 books on the market, and I want to present my books to the library.
Great.
And to say congratulations and thank you for putting up with me, driving a cab in the day, coming to school in the evening until I'm matriculated and get on board.
There you
go.
go.
And without them, it's like West Indian Training College.
All right, there you go.
That rescued me through the church. Teacher Williams that rescued me at the basic school because, remember, Irwine, I didn't get a chance to go to basic school. You guys went to basic school. My preparation was my mother who had to make you learn ABC from A to Z or A to Z and count to 100.
That was foundation.
And then you can pat, rat, mat, and bat, and you are ready. You are ready with a small slate.
All right.
and your pencil to go to school. Now I have a 5-year-old grandson who can spell almost any word.
There you go. That's the nature of the beast and the times that we live in. Of course, this is a public eye. My name is Irwine Clare, sitting in here with Pearnel Charles. Running to it is off today. It's the public eye here on the BridgeNation FM. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking with Mr. Evan Hacker, a chartered accountant in the United States, who's among the alumni classes of the 80s of the Mannings High School that has partnered with Errol McKellar Foundation in hosting a forum on prostate cancer. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Public Eye. Sitting in for Run It To It's Irwine Clare, along with Pearnel Charles Sr. in studio with me. And just wanted to say thanks for staying with us. We know you have choices, but we appreciate your being a part of our presentation here on the BridgeNation FM all over.
And Irwine,
yes, sir.
Somebody wants me to let them know how they can find you.
Yes.
And I want to tell them they can call you on 1-888-546-8742. Right?
All right.
And he's here. We are taking care of him. We're going to send him back up to the United States to keep that contact.
All right, sir.
But the bridge,
yes,
this bridge here, is
yeah,
not easy.
A serious link, man.
It's a serious bridge.
Serious link,
friend.
Yeah, let's imagine if we have one like this right across Kingston Harbor. Anyway. Anyway, listen, our next guest, a chartered accountant in the United States who's among alumni classes of the 80s at Mannings High School that has partnered with Errol McKellar Foundation in hosting a forum on prostate cancer. And they want to improve the awareness that death can be avoided with early screening and survivors can go on to live a rich and healthy life, especially in Jamaica where many men are skeptical to get tested and screened. So we want to welcome now Mr. Evan Hacker. Good day, Mr. Hacker.
Good day, Mr. Irwine Clare. How are you?
Quite well. Welcome, sir. So first and foremost, we're not going to get into, if you're in the United States, we get into this whole situation, which is the oldest school in Jamaica, but we won't go there today. The privileges.
Not at all. We can speak of intention, which is managed.
Are you suggesting that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not suggesting anything at all. But anyway, listen. First of all, share with us. Tell us what is the Errol McKellar Foundation?
Oh well, Errol McKellar is a Mannings past student, and he is in Britain, and he is I believe, a medical doctor, and he went through the process of surviving prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. And from that experience in his 50s, he thought it would be very important for others who might have that propensity to have that disease to also be not afraid of going through the examination once it's caught early, that individuals are more likely to survive. So there's an awareness thing that should be devoid of any sort of fear or any sort of stigma, that in fact what you're doing is preventing a disease, preserving a life, and also your life, and also ensuring that you're there for your family and friends and all of that, by just being healthy and being responsible for your life.
The inspiration for the class of 80s at Manning School to do this, what inspired that?
Well, his experience is one, and everybody is turning 50 now. From the class of the 80s, and class of 88. Errol McKellar's class of 82, and that's one of the reasons. And the more aware we are at this age, the more we get tested and prevent any sort of issues. So that's part of it. But also, it's the panel that we're bringing in include Michael Brooks. He practices from my year. He practices in prostate cancer. We have a speaker who is very distinguished, Professor Chidegwendu, and he practices in London. So what we want is a panel of experts in medicine to kind of just give a general awareness from a purely scientific and non-biased standpoint. So overall, that is the aim for us.
Indeed.
We're posting this on Facebook.
Yes.
Those will be able to log in on Sunday, November 6th at 2:30 and be a part of that panel, be a part of that discussion. So that is the aim.
So this takes place on Sunday, November 6th. What time?
It's 2:30 local time in Jamaica, and which is also local time, Eastern time here in the United States.
Yes. And person, you're saying will be able to. What are the addresses or how can people access this? You mentioned Facebook. Is it by is there an invitation from Zoom or anything like that?
There is a Zoom invitation as well. We have a meeting ID that is, and we have a flyer. The flyer will be available, on Facebook. The meeting ID is 813-8243-7406. Would you like to repeat that?
Well, actually, I think what will be more effective for those listening right now, I gather that the past students have a web page or a page that one can go to and they can find this information.
Absolutely. So we have the Manning's Past Student Association. It's on Facebook.
Yes.
Which is a quick way for us to discuss this information. And we would like all our past students to be a participant, whether male or female. So you'll be affected one way or the other in terms of a wife or husband, a mother, or child perhaps. Just a general awareness for family members, etc.
All right. So you're urging them to go to your webpage and get the information as far as time and how they can access this and participate.
That is correct.
Mr. Hako, there are many Jamaicans who are still worried about going to a doctor
To be tested, right?
for a physical,
Yes.
Right.
a special type of physical for prostate cancer.
Yes,
There are still women who are fearful of the physical with their breasts, but I think men are more. And I think I need you to encourage them, give them a word. I'm 86. Do I need to worry now if my last attempt to the doctor I say I'm all right?
Well, Mr. Charles, I can answer the question. I want to make a disclaimer. Of course, I'm an accountant. I am not, in fact, a medical doctor, and a medical doctor can speak to that generally. What I can speak about is, from my perspective, for example, every year there is whenever you do your blood analysis, you do your physical each year, there's a blood analysis, a prostate-specific analysis in your blood, which would, based on that, everyone, I think, should visit their medical doctor every year. Everyone should do their blood work every year, just being responsible. From that blood work, there's an indicator that, the PSA spikes, your prostate-specific analysis of whatever, spikes, then at that point, then of course, that would perhaps warrant a physical examination, a more intimate examination, as it were. But I mean, anyone who needs a surgery goes to a surgeon and he's cut open. Come on.
Indeed.
So there's no need for any sort of prejudice.
Right. But you do recognize, as Mr. Charles mentioned, the stigma there, and I think that in itself has been one of the biggest block to persons catching this thing early and going on to live lives that are enriched.
Indeed. But for example, if for example you do your blood work and it suggests that you have a fatty liver, then you know that you need to regulate for that.
Yes.
For heart problem. That's kind of a base standpoint, a starting point for everybody, I would say.
All right. So once again, this takes place. Give us the details again. This takes place this Sunday. Go ahead.
It takes place this Sunday, November 6th at 2:30 local time, the Canada, the United States as well. There'll be three presenters. Will be Color. He's a member of the MBE. Dr. Michael Brooks coming out of Bermuda, and Professor Francis with us, Francis Chang,
Yes.
who is an expert in this field.
Okay.
So overall, it is to educate and, of course, to help in the process to kind of remove sort of a stigma, because we're talking
Right.
about
Indeed. So I want to encourage folks to visit the Manning's Past Student website or on Facebook and get the details as to how to access it. I know that you guys have several WhatsApp groups all over the place, so I'm quite certain it's populated in those on those channels as well. But this is very important, ladies and gentlemen, for those and wives and daughters and mothers too need to encourage their husbands, wives, and brothers to be a part of this whole discourse.
Right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Erwin.
Yes.
Erwin.
Yes.
May I say something? If the blood work that you do show that your PSA is below 2, then the chances of you having prostate cancer really much less. When you start to worry is when it gets to 4 and above.
All right. And I must say that's a contribution there from our next guest, Mr. Lester Hines. Thank you very much, Evan Hacker. And we look forward and we thank the class of the 80s for bringing on this very important discussion this Sunday at 2:30. All the best to you, sir.
All the best. Thank
Sure.
you so much.
You're listening, of course, to the Public Eye here on the Bridge 99 FM. We're going to take a brief break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking a little, Pearnel, about elections next week and some of the Jamaicans who are running some of these elections next week. Very important discourse. Stay tuned with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Public Eye here on the Bridge 99 FM. My name is Irwine Clare, sitting in for Ronnie Thwaites along with Pearnel Charles. As we continue our dialogue here, we mentioned in the last segment before that we'll be talking about elections next week in the United States.
Many Jamaicans are involved. What level?
Several levels, from the governor's level to mayoralty to commissioner,
this whole election
congressional.
There's a national election.
It's a national election, except for president.
Except for president.
Yes.
So the states.
Yeah, all 535 offices for Congress are open. Several senators. The Senate fluctuates, so they probably have about 30 odd members of senators will be up for election. And then you have across the board assemblies and state senates and cities, in some cases city councils, that are running. In Florida, for example, several commissioners there in Broward.
It's one of the bigger elections.
Yeah, it is. It's a midterm election. It's very critical because usually the government in office usually lose a lot of seats, so one is hoping that the tide will be different. We have a line with us to discuss and share with us some of the Jamaicans who are running in some of these critical races. Lester Hines, journalist for the Gleaner in the United States. Welcome, Lester Hines.
Thank you, Erwin. Thank you, Minister Charles anymore.
You can call him emeritus. Emeritus.
Are you still in the Bronx?
No, I was never in the Bronx.
You're not in the Bronx.
No, he journeyed to the Bronx for the shops that serve spirits.
I'm upstate New York.
He went to buy round leaf and patty in the Bronx from the Jamaican.
I went to buy breadfruit and those kind of things.
Man, yeah.
Yes.
The last time I checked, JRN, we don't sell breadfruit. But anyway, moving right. Listen. Lester, next week's election will feature several Jamaicans at varying levels. Share with our listeners some of the folks at the levels they're participating in for our benefit, please.
Well, Erwin, what happens right now? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. What happens right now is that you have all 435 members of the House of Representatives up for election on Tuesday the 8th. Also, you have 34 senators who are also up for election on Tuesday. A number of Jamaicans are running. You have one Jamaican who has one person who has Jamaican roots who is running to be governor of Maryland, and he is likely to win. you have two Jamaican-born women who are running for Congress, the House. One is in Long Island, Jackie Gordon. The other one is in Florida, Karen Green. You also have a Jamaican woman who is running for Congress. She's running against a sitting Democratic Congresswoman, Debbie Westerman Schultz.
Yes, in Florida.
This lady has run against Schultz before and have lost, but she's making her third attempt.
And she's running she's running a Republican line, right?
She's running on the Republican line. Her name is Carla Spaulding.
Yes.
Also, you have Richard Campbell, who is running for mayor up in Lauderhill. You have Hazel Rogers, who is running for commissioner in Broward County.
Yeah.
You have several other Jamaicans who are running for commissioner for school boards and for judgeships, both in Florida as well as in Atlanta. So the election on Tuesday has
and of course you have incumbent Yvette Clarke out of the
Yvette Clarke.
We
have Yvette Clarke incumbent, and we also have Sheila Jackson Lee incumbent.
Yes.
Right, we also have Jamaican roots.
All right, and we must also mention too that the person running for governor there in Maryland, actually his name is Wes Moore, with Jamaican roots, and very progressive young man. Yes. Now, let me ask you this: this election season, would you say that it's a large group of Jamaicans you have seen a long time up for elections in offices? Because the last election, go ahead.
Yes, Irwin, and the thing is that a number of the people who are running in for local government, like commissioners, if they win. In Miramar, Lauderhill, and one other city in Florida, Jamaicans would control all of those government bodies, because there are 5 commissioners and they would have 3 Jamaicans in the majority.
Indeed, and those are critical. Those are critical positions for the spend.
They are.
Yeah, the whole candidacy of Dale Holness. I know he had run. He had his candidacy for Congress. Whatever happened with that?
Well, he lost the primary. And so he he's not running. He's in the general election.
Okay. And one of the things that outside of Jackie Collins and Yvette Gordon, and Jackie Gordon and Yvette Clarke out of New York, the New York, the Jamaican impact on the New York side has lessened over the year. Would you say less as far as the persons avail themselves for elective office?
Yes, it has. As a matter of fact, right now we don't have a Jamaican in the New York State Assembly.
Well, we do. Actually, yeah. Brian Cunningham is of Jamaica.
Brian Cunningham, sorry.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't have a state senator.
Correct.
Of Jamaican.
Correct. Well, if you could count in, and Leroy Cum will tell that he's Jamaican.
Yeah, Leroy, right? Yeah, he's of Jamaican descent.
Yes. So. What we have lost in New York State, Pearnel, is that Jamaica has gained as an ambassador. And that Nick Perry was the most senior of Jamaicans in elective office in New York State, and probably even across the United States, as a long-serving Jamaican, and we have lost that position, which is important, because seniority is what really brings you the real deal to the table. So I'd imagine now there's actively a cultivation now to bring that next set, and I think Brian Cunningham is one such individual who a lot is being riding out here.
Nick has a son in the politics too.
He did.
The other thing, Irwin, is that I think we probably have only one person in the New York City Council as a Jamaican.
True. And that is where the Clarks of the world, along with many others, led the charge back in the days, And I think it demonstrates a change of regard, because what we've seen, Pearnel, is that we see now a lot of other Caribbean nations having representation in the city council, because as we speak, the head of the Democratic Party in Brooklyn, which was considered the most progressive of political bastions in the United States, is of Haitian descent. And we see a lot of Haitians in critical positions as far as elective office, not just in New York Tri-City area, but across areas where the immigrant population is evident.
Yeah, it's a changing of the guard. The other thing is that I don't see a lot of Jamaicans offering themselves for for political office in New York,
which is interesting. What do you say, Pearnel, Charles? That we don't see more Jamaicans offering themselves for elective
there
office.
might be reasons for that, you know. They remember that the Black American has come up serious competition to the so-called Jamaican or West Indian who, because of their education, was pushing forward. But I remember that at City College, they were bringing in Black Americans in New York free to school. And that has improved the level of participation, particularly in the politics. I mean, in Harlem, you know, from the other guys, the religious side and other sides. But we have come forward. We have come up.
And you know, when we look at that congressional race there on Long Island with Jackie Gordon, this is her. I think this is her second time at this.
It's her second, second go round.
Yeah, and you know, it is hopeful. She's a vet. She's a veteran, and she has really, you know, the district she's running in, you know, has a larger, won't say white population than black population. So, you know, she's really up against an incumbent Republican who is entrenched. So it should be very interesting what happens there.
The interesting thing in that, Irwine, is that with the redistricting, the boundaries of that district has changed somewhat, and there is now like a 5% plus in terms of Democrats. So we'll see how it works.
Okay. And you speak of redistricting. Yvette Clarke is conceivable, could say she no longer has in her district majority Caribbean. You know,
that's right.
You know, and so it puts her in a very competitive situation because redistricting has really changed the whole landscape as to how.
She's in
Brooklyn, yes, in Brooklyn. So that's also should be interesting. I think what will carry her there is that it is largely a Democratic region, so it should be
right.
She should be okay there. But I think though what will be a big plus for Jamaica is if Westmore were to become governor of Maryland, then we would have had a situation where we have a lieutenant governor in Virginia and a
governor in Maryland. Yes.
Yeah, very very interesting. So you know it should be of interest there. Lester Hines, thank you very much for your contribution on that, sir. We look forward to next week's election. We just want to encourage folks here in Jamaica to encourage their relatives in the States to go out and exercise their franchise. This is a one-time election, really matters, and it could impact a whole lot of things, because these guys who have different ideas about how we operate in the United States are hell-bent on changing a whole lot of things that we take for granted today. Thank you very much.
Some of them are talking about going back to the original Constitution about 18 whatever.
Okay, so all right. Thank you very much, Lester Hines.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Sure. So it's about a wrap for us here, and let me just do the take care of the protocol before I get the niceties in. I can share with Mr. Charles. I want to take this opportunity to thank our guests today, Mr. Donovan Wilson, President of the Union of Jamaica Alumni Association, USA, Inc., Ms. Lesleyann Samuel, immediate past President of the Union of Jamaica Alumni Association, and Mr. Michael Salmon, their Vice President. We heard just now from Evan Hacker, a chartered accountant in the United States, who is among the alumni classes of the 80s at Manning School that has partnered with the Errol McKellar Foundation in hosting a forum on prostate cancer as a Zoom presentation on this Sunday. Thanks to all Public Eye, Open Mind, BridgeNation listeners for tuning into the Bridge 99 FM and Jam Radio or live stream. And of course, go ahead.
And let me thank you.
Yes.
And I'm sure Ronnie has just called me to say, I've given you all the length that you want.
Yes.
And you're going back to New York.
At some point, yes.
You won't be here next week.
Unless I miss the flight.
Yes,
Yes,
we can arrange that. We can arrange
You
that.
mean just get stuck in traffic, right?
But I want to congratulate
Thank you very much, sir.
You did very well today.
Thank you very much, sir.
And somebody has called from New York to say that we're not going to allow him to stay down there.
All right, that's good news. Anyway, thanks to our producer, LaFayne Wigan, technical operators, Jeffrey Brown, Romy, and the entire production team here at the Bridge 99 FM and the entire Irie Jam family in New York. To the world, have a great afternoon, everyone. Stay tuned for the crossover with Nikki Z, who's up next. Join us again come next Wednesday for the Public Eye Open Mind on the Bridge 99 FM at noon, at which time I'm sure Ronnie will be back and he'll have taken you back all the niceties wherever he went.
Yes. We are warning him to get back here.
Oh, my Lord. Listen.
Don't stay too far.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, for sitting in with you
And
today.
let me thank you, and I'm very happy
Sure.
to have you as a Senton man.
Yes, sir. Send on in the house today.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you have done well.
Thank you, sir.
We're proud of you. And keep the Jamaica flag flying and the contact with the Jamaica and the Americans and stay on it. And when you go back, please tell them that I'm still here.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Yes. All the best to you. Stay tuned.